Okay, welcome to MacGroup. We're going to get started with our main topic today, which is designing websites with Adobe Muse. Okay, let me start with my background in web design for like two seconds. In 1993 is really when the World Wide Web was introduced. Obviously, the internet was before that, but that's when the web kicked off. I built my first website in, I guess back then it was called Teach Text, which now is Text Edit. And I wrote it by hand with HTML, and I would save it and open it in Netscape Navigator back then to just look at it. So I'd make a change, open it and look at it. Make a change, open it and look at it. And I thought, wow, I'm building a website. Wow, I never want to do it this way again. So, while I understand and can write code, it is not something I enjoy. Not something I get up to do, not something I ever want to do again if I can avoid it, not something I look forward to. But I can. So a lot of times when we talk about tools that write the code for you, the professionals get offended by that and saying, you guys need to learn how to do it yourself. And so I always say to them, just because I can do it myself doesn't mean I want to. And then that kind of calms them down. So there are people in this room that probably can write some code, maybe some that are very good at it, and then there's some that won't ever write code, don't ever want to, and would love a tool that does it for you, that you never have to touch the code. Adobe makes two HTML authoring programs now. We make a professional one called Adobe Dreamweaver that we've made for years and acquired from Macromedia. And we make a new one called Muse. Dreamweaver is for that, what I would call professional web developer that they get up every day to do web work. That's what they do. They write code, they work on websites, they probably get paid to do it. That's their day-to-day job. Muse is for everyone else. Simple enough? Now, the people that use Dreamweaver, while Dreamweaver can write code for you, they typically use Dreamweaver because it can write the code, but they still want to tweak it themselves. So they might have it do the bulk of the work, but they want to get in and fiddle with it or put in custom code. And they want to write CSS, which is the styling of the website. They want to do all that. Muse is designed to be a product where you jump in and you lay out a website without ever looking at the code. So that's where the two products are.
Can you develop a website with Muse and tweak it?
That question always comes up. I have never mentioned the word Adobe Muse without that question coming up. So to answer his question was, can I, well then make the website in Muse, but then open it in Dreamweaver or whatever, and text edit, whatever, and tweak the code? The answer technically is yes. But why? And let me explain the why part. Well, let me explain the technical part. When you make the site in Muse, you can export a folder of HTML, and it would be the whole site, everything included, images, CSS, JavaScript, everything. And then you can go do whatever you want to do with it. You can open it in Dreamweaver, you can open it up in TextEdit, you can just post it, you can tweak it, you can do whatever you want. But the minute you go make changes to it, Muse will never see those changes. So it's a one-way trip. You can make the site in Muse, go to Dreamweaver or whatever and edit it, and then go somewhere else. But you're never coming back to Muse with those edits. So that's the reason I say why. And if your answer to the why is, well, Muse is easy, and therefore it can maybe get me started, and I'm then going to continue it in Dreamweaver and never go back to Muse, then fine. But it's not a workflow that the average person is going to do, because the average person is going to use one of those tools, not both.
Is the HTML that Muse creates, is it readable enough for a person who writes in Dreamweaver to be able to understand?
Oh, sure. Yeah, this question was, is the code readable enough for a person that works in Dreamweaver to understand? It's standard HTML. So if you know HTML, you'd be able to go right through the code and know exactly what it's doing. So yeah, it's standard HTML. I don't know what else to say about that. Did I see a hand over here? No. So now that we know what the two products are geared for, and we know, so what kind of customer am I? A Muse customer or Dreamweaver? Muse, exactly, because I don't want to write code. So now that we know what the two products are aimed towards, let's now talk about who built Muse. Muse was actually built not by the Dreamweaver team, but it was actually built by the InDesign team. Engineers from the InDesign team got snagged to go build this new product. So therefore, it is very InDesign-like, down to the keyboard shortcuts. So if you know how to use InDesign, you're probably 60 to 70 to 80% there in knowing how to use Muse. Because I find myself doing things instinctively without even thinking of which of the two programs I'm in, because they work so much alike. All right, so let's get started. And by the way, in case you missed the blog post that I wrote on Mac News, over the holiday break, I redid the entire MacGroup website in Muse. So the site at MacGroup.org that you're looking at today is a Muse website. Okay, so let's go on. Let's launch Muse, and let's start where you would start.
Is this going to be recorded?
That's my plan. I can never guarantee the recording will work, but it is recording today. So, all right, so we launch Muse, and it starts off with a standard Adobe welcome screen, and it shows me the ability to do one of two things, or actually one of three things. Create a new site, open up a site that I had been working on, or go get some help on learning Muse. So I'm going to say create a new site. Now, this is one of those things where if you're new to web design, you probably have no idea what numbers to put in here. So thankfully, the numbers are good that are already there. And most people won't ever have to change them. Now, Muse is one of the products that's only available from Adobe through subscription. So let me get that out of the way too. We'll talk more about that towards the end. So that means that we update it regularly rather than having to wait 12, 18, 24 months. So this latest update to Muse added this initial layout feature. And this initial layout feature now lets me create, starting with a desktop, tablet, or smartphone version. Most people, again, won't change that because you're probably going to build a site that you first want to get built that's for a desktop, and then you'll add the other layouts later. So we'll leave that the way it is. Now, when I say these numbers are good numbers, meaning that this covers the average resolution or display sizes being looked at on a desktop computer today. And if you think about a computer that you buy today, what's the lowest resolution the screen would have now? What's an 11-inch MacBook Air have? That's the smallest screen I know of.
1024 by 768.
Is it 1024 or higher? It's probably higher than that. She's got one. Oh yeah, they took the thing off the menu bar, didn't they?
Yeah.
That was convenient. And it probably doesn't even give you numbers.
It does if you hit scale. 1366 by 7.
So even the 11-inch smallest screen that Apple sells on a desktop computer, which is the MacBook Air, is 1300. What is it?
1366 by 768.
1366 by 768. That is not Retina. So this minimum display of 960 by 500 covers every desktop or notebook computer being sold today. and have been for a long time. Okay, so with that, let's click OK. And now that we click OK, what do we get? We get we get the 5 stages, which most of you will only deal with 4, and we start with the planning stage. The planning stage is where you literally plan your site out. This would be back in the old days of web design, taking Post-it notes and naming each page and sticking it up on the board and then rearranging the notes until you got the structure of the site down. This is your electronic Post-it note. So it starts off with 2 things. It gives you a master page at the bottom, and it gives you your first web page, your home page at the top. Now for my InDesign, how many of you have used InDesign before or use it on a regular basis? Okay, for the InDesign users, you know what this whole planning window is? If you relate it to InDesign? Your Pages panel. That little skinny Pages panel that has masters at the top or bottom, depending on your preference, and all your pages, that's exactly what this big window is. If you use InDesign, think of this window as your Pages panel. So you can create more masters, and you can, of course, create more pages. So now let's think of a typical site. Okay, so let's add a page. It probably has an About Us page. It probably has a Products page. It probably has a Contact Us page. And it might have an Events page. And outside the Events page, it might have a Videos page. And maybe I want the Contact Us to be last because we don't want to be bothered. So just drag it around. So these are your Post-it notes. You're just moving them around, building the structure of your site. And maybe in videos, we also want our audio page. Nah, we're not going to do audio this time. Just delete that one. Simple as that. You're building the structure of your site. Adding pages, moving them around, deleting pages, renaming pages, doing whatever you want. And of course, you're not ever locked in. If you decide later you need more pages, let's come back to the planning stage and add them. You decide you're never going to use a page, delete it. Now, what's the master then at the bottom? The master, we double click on it, and we're going to zoom out because I'm at a lower resolution. This is where you actually put the elements on the page that are going to be the same across multiple pages, just like in InDesign. You put your logo in the upper left corner that you want on all your pages. You put your social media links at the bottom that you want on all your pages. So whatever you want on 2 or more pages, you're probably going to put it on the master page. Now, let me explain the structure of the way this page works. You have these guides along the side here. So you've got the top of the page, the header, the footer, the bottom of the page, and the bottom of the browser window. So this white rectangle is what's called the page. That's where your content is going to go. Everything else is what we call the browser fill, this darker gray area. So I can bring the browser window down and I can still put things up there, but they just won't. And I do put things up there that I don't want to be in the actual content area. So for example, we go back to the MacGroup site, everything above that black line is in that browser fill area because I don't want it to interfere with the content of each page. All right, so let's say, and by the way, the page defaults to a white page with a black rule. You can say you want it to be a different color. You can say that you don't want a fill at all. You can say that you don't want a stroke at all. And your page is still there, but now it's blended in with whatever your browser fill color is. And I can, of course, go change the browser fill color to whatever I want. Or, actually in this case I'd have to have something. There we go. Or I can have an image be my browser fill. So let's go and grab an image. And instead of tiling that image, I want to scale the fill. I want to do it from the center. So now that is the background image of all my pages that use the A master. Okay, so well, let's say I now want to put in a logo. How would I bring an image into InDesign? Place or drag and drop. Same thing. I can, if I know where it is, I can go place it. If it were handy in a window, I can go drag and drop it. Look, placement gun, just like InDesign. Shocking. Ooh, I can drag it around, move it wherever I want. Size it. Shocking. Because it's built by those same engineers. So now that's on all the pages. Because all the pages defaulted to the A master. Now let's go back to the master, do one more thing. I want to, obviously, the person who's looking at my site to be able to navigate from page to page. Right now, if we were to post this site the way it is, the home page would come up and they would never be able to get anywhere else. Because there's no buttons or no navigation to go to any of the other pages. So how do we put navigation in? Anyone want to write code for the navigation bar with rollovers? And no, of course not. So we go to our widget library. And as I always say, whenever you see the words presets, templates, or widgets, it can only mean good stuff. So we have widgets for menus. We have a vertical one and a horizontal one. I want a horizontal menu, drag it in. Actually, I don't want a horizontal one, I want a vertical one. Drag the vertical one in. Now, and I will just say this up front to carry me through the rest of the presentation. Muse defaults to plain Jane looking widgets and items. So things are going to be gray and white, light gray, white. They're just going to be bland. You can go style that any way you want. You want to change the font, you want to change the colors, you want to change the rollovers, you want to change any aspect of any of these items, you can. So while I may not take the time to go change every single thing I bring onto the page, know that you can. You don't have to leave it with, oh, do I have to have that gray? Can I have some other color? Can I have some other font? Yes. The answer is yes. Can it be a different size? Yes. Can it be anywhere else on the page? Yes. Can I change the font? If I drill down into it far enough? Yes. Let's choose a different font. Now it's Arial. Can I change it to a different size? Yes. Can I change it to a different alignment? Yes. Can I change it to be bolder? Yes. Can I change the color of these items to be different? If I get out of this, yes. So let's make that, instead of the gray that it is, let's make it that color. Or maybe that color. I like that color. Done. Okay, so that menu is now, we go back to the site, now on all the pages, and it knows, notice I didn't have to tell the menu what the pages were, pick them up automatically because it said, oh, you're building a menu, you've got these pages, I'll add these pages to the menu. And now that I'm on the About Us page, that's the page that's dim or grayed in the menu bar because it knows that's the one I'm on. If I go in now and change my mind and say, well, Contact Us should really be about, or after About Us, the menu gets updated to put Contact Us right after it. So it keeps track of all the structure of the pages and knows where everything is. So if you make any changes to your pages, add pages, delete pages, it updates the menus too. All right, next. Well, I don't want her on all my pages. Matter of fact, I don't want her on any of the pages except for maybe one or two. So now it's time for a new master. Make a new master page, double click on it, make whatever changes we want to make to it. So let's say now I want to also put that same logo on the home page. So we'll do place, we'll do the logo, put the logo up here. I'm sorry, not the home page, but the master page. Got the logo there. I want a horizontal menu bar this time. Again, it knows about all the pages. Yes, I can go style that to my heart's content. I also want rounded corners for these frames, or this page frame that's here. And I want a different color browser fill. Should kind of like that. All right, so now when we go back to the site, we've got a new master that doesn't apply to anything because we haven't applied it to anything. How do I apply it to something? So now I've styled those pages to be different. So now how do I bring content in? Now that I've kind of got the structure going, and we've only been at this for 20 minutes so far, and I've got most of the site kind of ready to go, it's just a matter of now putting the content on the pages.
You have the ability with Muse to be able to add, I can't remember, but I saw a website called 960GS, 960 Grid System. Is the grid system able to be applied to Muse?
Yeah, you would do that in a preference with columns. All right, so let's go into, he was asking about grids, and we don't really have a grid system. We have columns in the site properties that you can add to give you a grid to lay things out on. All right, so let's go to the home page. And on the home page, I want to add some text, an image, not an image yet, some text and an animation. So how do I add text to Muse? Well, how would I add text to InDesign? If I were in InDesign, how would I do it? I grab the text tool and then do what? Click on the page in InDesign? Really? That doesn't do anything. Thank you. There we go. There's my text box. Start typing or paste. Welcome. All right, that's actual size. Okay, kind of plain. So how would I change it? Let's change the welcome first of all. Now we get to learn the difference between print design and web design. It's called fonts. In print design, you've had fonts since 1984, although they were bad ones back then, but you had fonts, and you could do anything you want. Put 2 fonts on the page, 3 fonts on the page, 5 fonts on the page. Some would do more. And print. And if your PostScript printer back then had enough memory, you would actually see it come out. So fonts have never been an issue, really, as long as the fonts weren't corrupted or anything, with print. You choose a font and print it. But with the web, the problem is if I choose a font, you may not have it. So what gets displayed is something else. So there's something called web safe fonts that kind of solves that problem, sort of. We bring up the font menu. We have these web safe fonts. There are like 11 of them, I believe. Where are they? Oh, no, right there. Arial, Comic Sans, Courier New, Geneva, Georgia, Helvetica, Lucida, Palatino, Times, I can't pronounce that one, Verdana, what you said. And those 11 or so fonts, if you use any one of those, everyone will see your type, the way you styled it. Because those 11 fonts are built into all modern browsers that have been built in the last, I don't know, umpteen years, all mobile devices, all smartphones and tablets. Use those 11 fonts, they will work. But they're boring. To a designer, that's like saying, so let me get this straight. I have 600 fonts on my computer, and you're telling me I can only use these 11? And these 11 aren't even that good. That's what a designer would say to you. And they would cry. So, Even though those 11 fonts are there, notice Muse is not limiting me to those 11. I see more than 11 fonts in this list. If I go, those are the web-safe ones. If I scroll down, here are my system fonts. These are all the fonts I have on my computer. Hundreds of fonts, dozens of fonts. And Muse will let me use them with one big caveat. If I use any of those, it will have no choice but to convert whatever text I've used that font on to an image. Because you're using that font because you want that font to be displayed on everyone's computer and smartphone and tablet. So therefore, it's going to convert it to an image that looks just like that font so that it will show up. Sounds fair, except that that's really not a good thing. Why isn't that a good thing?
Because it's going to be bitmap and if you enlarge it.
Nope, you're not going to enlarge it. Nope, you can edit it, still in use. Nope, not going to make it overlap.
Because the destination computer might not have that font?
No, that's why it's going to be an image. Well, I heard it over here. Exactly. You're going to now have a bunch of images where it would have been nice and small text.
Okay.
So now your website's going to take longer to load, and people are not going to like you. So don't use those. Unless it is for one specific thing on one, maybe one or two specific pages where you need that one specific thing to look like that font. Maybe it's your logo and you want it in one spot. Or you're trying to make an example and you need that particular font in that one spot. Fine, that's what it's for. But don't use it for all your headlines and all your body copy because your site will be horrendous if you do that. So if I don't want to use the 11 boring ones and my system fonts are kind of off limits, I can use them but sparingly, then what's my answer? At the top, we have what are called web fonts. So not web-safe fonts, but web fonts. These web fonts come with Muse. There's over 400 of them. And they are actual, we acquired a company called Typekit back a year or so ago. And Typekit had made this technology where you could use real fonts on the web that was actual type, not images. We acquired that, built it into Muse. So now you get access to these 400 plus fonts to use in any of your websites, in your web design.
I've heard that Google also has something available like that. Are they exactly identified? I believe they're WebKit fonts.
They may have licensed it.
We own WebKit now.
We own Typekit. They may have licensed it from us. I have no idea. All right, so I can search by name. I can scroll through and visually look at them. I can search by kind of font, so serifs, bigger serifs, scripts, sans serifs. And once I find a font that I like, I can click on it, click OK, and it loads it to the menu. So we just don't put all 400 and plus fonts in the menu for you for obvious reasons, because you're going to use all of them, and why crowd your menu with the ones you aren't using. So now that I've added that font that I've already forgotten the name of, there it is, Clara, I can choose it. It does something weird. Great. Why does it have such a big leading? All right, Clara, we're going to use something else. There we go. I don't know, there's something wrong with that particular one, but the rest are working fine. What's Clara doing?
Jerry, so if web-safe fonts are the only ones that you can guarantee your users will see properly, how do they see this?
These are guaranteed too.
How does that happen?
Because it puts the technology in your site to show them on the person's computer that doesn't have them. That's why we bought that company. So these will work, just like web-safe fonts will work. And they're actual text, not images. And they don't add a ton of code or download to your site.
Once your page is published, would a program like Evernote be able to read the text?
Sure, this is text. It's All it's doing is enabling the person's browser to see the font, but everything else about it is text, just like the website fonts. So you can go to the site, you can go to MacGroup.org right now, and the welcome is in one of the website fonts. You can highlight it, copy it, paste it, whatever. It is actual text. So this, if we go back to the site, that's a WebKit font or Typekit font. And if I didn't tell you, you wouldn't have known. But this is actual text.
Those are only available on the Muse. Would you be able to open it up in InDesign and have fonts in the font library?
These are only available in Muse. They're not in the rest of your applications. Well, Muse and Dreamweaver. All right, so once you style your text whatever way you want, so in that case I used the web font. In this case I'm just using one of the web safe fonts, which is Arial. I can also say that maybe I want that bigger. Maybe I wanted a different color. Something maybe easier to see. Easier to see, not harder. And then once I've done that, I can also go in for both of these now and say that, well, actually, let's change the color on this one too. Okay, I can change the color or change the font on both of those selections and then go into my paragraph styles, just like I would in InDesign, and make style sheets from them. So I can say that this is for headings. And this is for, I don't know, body copy. Let's call it that. So just like I would set up style sheets to use consistently through my design pages in InDesign, I can use the same technology and same theory in my web design as well. All right, now let's talk about placing images and animations. Who can name the 3 most popular image types on the web? JPEG, PNG, and GIF. GIF. So those are the 3 most popular. And obviously in design, or I'm sorry, Muse can place all 3. What about animation? There's 2 types of animation technologies out that are popular on the web. What are they? Nope, not GIF. Flash and, say it louder, HTML5. Yeah. So those are the 2 popular animation types right now. So if you were to go into Flash Professional and make an animation and export it out as a SWF file, which is .swf, you can place that SWF file right on your website and use. Or if you were to create an HTML5 animation in like Adobe Edge, for example, you can export out that file and place it right into Muse, which I'll do. So I'll go File, Place. Edge exports it out as a .oam file, and I'll just place that, and I'll get the placement tool. I can place it wherever I want and move it wherever I want. Now, obviously, that red box is not the actual animation, but I know it's in that, it's taking up that space. And now, what do we want to do? We want to see it. We want to see what that's actually going to do. So anytime you actually want to see what your site looks like, you have 2 ways to preview it. You can preview it right in Muse. Muse has a preview module. So if I hit preview, that's going to render the HTML and whatever else is on the page. And we will see our animation happen, which, hey, we're having a sale. There it is. But what if you say, and by the way, that's the WebKit engine built into Muse. So the same engine that's in Safari, same engine that's in Chrome, same engine that's in all the popular browsers is built in. But what if you say, not good enough? I don't trust just looking at it in the same tool that built it. I want to actually see it in my browser. File, preview page in browser. Whatever your default browser is, it will launch and show you that page in the browser. So I can test my rollovers. My animation obviously worked. There's my type. It is selectable. So far, so good. Now let's talk about placing images. Let's get out of the home page for a minute. Let's get out of the B master. Let's go back to the site. And let's say that we're going to go to the About Us page. And on the About Us page, we're going to place an image. We've already placed an image. We placed the logo as a PNG file. The process is pretty much the same. GIFs, PNG, JPEGs. But there's one other image type that Muse can place. PSD. Photoshop files. So I can go to File and Place, and I will get my JPEGs show up, my pings show up. I don't have any GIFs, but they would show up as well. But also, my Photoshop file shows up, my PSDs. Now, what's the advantage of placing a Photoshop file on Muse? Well, let's find out. Because I could have just gone in Photoshop, open it up, save it as, export it, save it for web as a JPEG. Why place the actual PSD? Well, first of all, PSDs don't really work on the web. So placing that PSD means that when this is exported out or published out to the web, Muse is just going to make a JPEG out of that anyway. So it's kind of saving me a step of having to go to Photoshop and make the JPEG and have two files. But there's a better, hang on, there's a better advantage.
It's editable.
It's round trippable. So I can right click on this and say edit original. That will open it up in Photoshop, the original PSD. And I can do whatever Photoshop can do. So I can add a layer, for example. We got a recording already, I think. Yes, we do. Oops, I want to add a layer that way. I actually want to duplicate a layer. So I want to duplicate this layer, and I want to get rid of the white marks on the wall are distracting me. So I'll use the patch tool, select them, and patch them out. And it is a pain in the butt doing this with a trackpad. Now, I duplicated the layer first just in case my customer says, hey, we really like those white marks on the wall. Why'd you take them off? Because that's what customers do. All right, so now I've got, and by the way, I want to also adjust the levels of this just a little bit. So I've got the layer on top, without, and the layer on the bottom, with. Save, close, go back to Muse, Muse updates. That's why you'd use a PSD. Because you're going to be constantly making changes to that image. So for example, on the MacGroup site, this calendar image is a Photoshop file with January and the 27th as text. And all I do every month is just go in and change that text. Now that I'm in Muse, I just place that PSD, right click on it, edit to next month's meeting, which is February, whatever it is, 10th, I believe, and save it, and it updates my Muse homepage. So things that are going to change. If that image of the model was never going to change again, then I would just place the JPEG. But if I'm going to always want to make changes to it and round trip it, then I would place the PSD. All right.
You said you can do anything. Let's say if you make part of that as a transparency.
Yeah.
If it's converted to a JPEG, then you won't have the transparency.
Yeah, if I need to be able to see through this image, I don't know if it will automatically do that as a ping though, because a ping can have transparency. I don't know. I've never tried that. I've never tried placing a transparent object that's a PSD and seeing what happens. Seeing if it makes it white or does it make it keep it transparent as pink. I have to test it. Now you've given me something to think about. All right. By the way, I can scale this down, and it will make a smaller JPEG of it, obviously, when it makes it. And notice I'm not having to hold down anything. What am I not holding down? Shift. 25 years later. We don't have to hold down the shift key anymore.
What happens if you hold it down?
Then it distorts it, which is what it should do. And what it should have done all along. Don't get me started. All right, there we go. And by the way, here's a little tip that I just discovered actually yesterday. You hold down, not option, if you hold down control, no, not control, command then. You hold down command, it crops. And the whole image is still there. So you're just cropping it in Muse in that one instance. All right, next.
Is that image optimized once it becomes published?
Yes. It's optimized during the publish process. All right, next. Let's go back to the master page for a moment. And let's talk about a different kind of image that we're going to place and where we're going to place it. We're going to place a PSD, but we're going to use a different way of placing it. Place assumes you just want to place the static image or animation or whatever it is. Just place it, put it on the page. But there's also a place Photoshop button. That's a specific command for placing PSDs not statically, but as a button with rollovers. So if I've made a PSD with 2 or more layers, I can access those layers during this process. So if I say place this Photoshop button and I grab the Facebook PSD, the Facebook PSD has 2 layers in it. It has an over layer and it has an up layer. And the up layer is slightly dim compared to the regular layer. That's all I've done, just those 2 layers. But now by placing it that way, it will make it a rollover that when you hover over it, it shows it brighter. When you back away from it, it's dimmer. And I got the same thing for Twitter. Place Photoshop button, place Twitter, choose the up layer for the normal state, click, and there they are. Smart guides to line them up. And I'm going to select these and make them a footer item. And that means that I want them down here, below the footer. And to the right. Okay. Those buttons do what right now? Sure they do. They roll over. Well, clicking on them does nothing. But yes, the rollovers work. Great. All right, so I want them to actually go somewhere when you click on them, obviously. So let's talk about hyperlinks. When I click on this Facebook button, I want it to go to maybe the MacGroup Facebook page. So clicking or highlighting text with the text tool or clicking on an object with the selection tool, you can then say add or filter links, and it will propose any of your existing pages. So if you wanted a quick button to jump to another page in your site, you can do it that way. But I want to actually type in where it's going to go. I believe it's MacGroup-Detroit. All right, and the Twitter one, or is it MacGroup for the one and MacGroup-Detroit for the other one? I always forget those. One of those is not going to work. Twitter.com/ I know this one is MacGroup-Detroit. I believe the other one is MacGroup. All right, and now that will be where? On the bottom of all the pages that use the Master. Because that's where I put it. So if we go to this page, it's there now. And if we make this item bigger, it moves that stuff down because it's in the footer. That's what the footer's for. Stuff that you want to keep and stay below the content. Till we get to the minimum height. Okay, let's do text. Let's say we want to create a text frame. Visit. Okay, visit bestappsite.com for iOS app reviews and download our latest brochure and song. I've given you 3 things I want you to go to. Bestappsite.com, the brochure, and a song. So, bestappsite.com, highlight the text, type in the URL. Easy enough. But wait a minute, download our latest brochure. From where? A file. The actual PDF I have in my hard drive. So this is also something that got recently added to the updates. There's now a link to file option. So when I say link to file, I can go find the file wherever it is on my hard drive, link to it, and when I upload the site, it will go grab that file from wherever I linked it from and upload it with it. File can be anywhere as long as Muse can see it at the time you publish and upload the site.
Sort of like rendering a video project. Puts all this stuff together.
Yes. All right, or the song. So same thing, find the file, link to the file, there's an MP3 file. And if the person's browser can play MP3s, it'll just start playing, otherwise it'll download it.
If you change your brochure, say, will it automatically update?
If I do what now?
If you, on your computer, if you change your brochure, will it automatically update the file on the
Website?
Yes.
Okay, so if let's say I go into InDesign, make a new change to the brochure, save the PDF to the exact same spot with the exact same name. The question is, will Muse see that as a change so the next time you update the site, it uploads the brochure with it? I don't know. I've never tried that. I assume it will, but I haven't tried, so I can't say for sure. Oh, because it should be looking for modification dates to make changes, so it should see the file has been modified and then upload the file.
What about vector graphics?
What about vector graphics?
You mentioned the different pictures and JPEGs and PNGs and GIFs and all that kind of stuff. Does it also work with vector graphics?
As long as you save them as a PNG, JPEG, or GIF, yes. Those are the 3 formats it supports in PSDs. So if I had an Illustrator logo that I wanted to put on my website, I'd save it as a PNG, which is common for vector graphics, the format to save it in.
So it can't be adjusted once. Well, I guess it could.
Sure, just go back to the Illustrator file, make changes, make a new PNG. But yeah, we don't have native AI support like we do for PSDs at this point. Okay, where am I? So we've done text links, we've done file links, we've done placing of graphics and images. Now it's time for a slideshow. So let's go to our events page. And on the events page, I want to put in a slideshow. And I want her to put it right there, so she's kind of touching it with her hand. All right, so we're going to go to widgets. And as you would expect, there's slideshow widgets you can choose from. And here's something I discovered after working with these for a while. They're all the same. We give you 4 choices, but they're really all the same. Meaning, there's only one slideshow. You're just choosing which options to start with. So if I started with blank, I can turn on thumbnails or lightbox. But if I know I want a lightbox, I can just start with that one. That's all it is. So I usually start with blank, because if you start with one of the other 3, it puts sample images in that you have to get rid of. So I'd rather start blank and turn on the features I want. So yeah, it does that. It puts those sample images in there. I hate that. So yeah, give me a blank one. I'll put my images in there. Thank you. So we drag this in. We put it where we want it to go. Let's see, how far over did I? Ooh, I gotta make that smaller. I want her to touch it. Okay, so there's my slideshow ready to go. Now, anytime you click on one of the widgets, whether it's a menu, a slideshow, whatever, there will usually be a blue triangle. That is your menu options for that widget. So if I want to adjust this slideshow, I click on the triangle for this slideshow. And this is where I go put the actual images in. So I just go grab Add Images, find my images. These you do want to go ahead and take the time to optimize to be whatever size your slideshow is going to be up front. I just find it more, I can do a better optimization job than what Muse does for a slideshow is what I'm saying. So I would go, if I got 15 images, I'd go into Photoshop, make them the right size, and save them out for web and put those 15 images in myself. Okay, now that I've done that, like I said before, if you want thumbnails, turn on thumbnails. And I can put those wherever I want. I can put them down here. I can move them over to the other side, wherever I want. Oh, I can try that. I'm not doing this right. Ah, that's why. So I'll put the thumbnails over there. The images there. Cool. And we go back to the menu options here. I don't want a counter. I don't want captions. Next, you would have to go put them in manually, but yes, it would be below each picture. All right, so now if I preview this, and I think I left it on autoplay. The slideshow should start automatically because I left it on autoplay. That's not my PSD, that's the original JPEG from the slideshow, by the way. And I can still jump to any particular image from the thumbnails. Fair enough? All right, next. Trying to think what's left. So we've done slideshows, we've done master pages, images. Shopping cart. Oh, okay, we'll do that. We'll do two things. In the back.
Does Muse allow you to load additional widgets from third parties?
Yes and no. I don't see why not, but I haven't seen any yet. I mean, I'm not saying they don't exist. I personally haven't seen any. Okay, here, here, and here. Go back.
This is jumping back, and it looks like a great program for round trip capability on Photoshop. How far back can you go? CS3?
I have no idea. I never keep the old versions to try and test and do those things with. I don't know.
For those of us who haven't gotten this version.
I don't know.
If you have a website that you made in iWeb, can you?
No. Question was, if I have a website that I made in blank, can I work with it in this? No. This is not import HTML, import websites, import anything. You're starting with a site, you're bringing elements into it. There's no migration from some other HTML or tool that you used in the past. Not really. You can open up the HTML if you export it from iWeb, but that would be about it. Go ahead.
Can you password protect in case, let's say you have things you want to download for a certain group?
Let me come back to that. Go on.
If you wanted to do one of those photo galleries where you have large pictures and slide across the screen.
Yep.
Is that built into this? Or?
Yeah, it's just a matter of saying instead of doing a cross dissolve, do a horizontal.
Cool.
And if I extend this out, which I've done this, I think I recorded this as a video option before. There's a way to extend this out to where the slide looks like it's coming off the page. There it is. That's not it. Never mind, that's the actual slide. There is a way to do it. I'm just flaking on where to grab the handles. But yeah, the images will look like they're sliding in. So they'll look like they're sliding in now, but I normally do it in a way where they look like they're sliding in off the page. Okay. All right. Let's go to my next thing. So let's go out of the master, out of the about us. Now let's go to the videos page. We're going to answer basically all the questions I just got on this one page. Videos. So do I place a video? No. Muse has no current direct support for video. There's no place video, there's no render video, there's nothing to do with, there's no video options at all. That doesn't mean you can't use video, it just means it's not native to the program. So how do I get video in? How do I get a shopping cart in? How do I get password protection in? How do I get other things in that Muse can't do? I host my videos in 2 or 3 places. YouTube, Liberated Syndication, which is my podcast, and Facebook sometimes. All 3 provide players and embed codes. So if you go to a YouTube video right now, any YouTube video, or that has it enabled, I should say, you can click share and you can say there's an option for embed, and they'll give you the code for it. You can go select that code and copy it. So I'm going to do that. Text edit, open recent. Here's a embed code for one of my own videos. So I just copied it. Now I go to Muse. If I drag out a text frame and paste it, what will that give me? Text. Won't do a thing, it'll just be the code. So I actually need to tell Muse, don't treat this as text, treat it as code. And the way I do that is object, here let me zoom out a little bit first. Object, insert HTML. So this is the catch-all. This is the, whatever Muse can't do, if I can go find the code somewhere else, I can have Muse do it on my site. So insert HTML. If you know how to code HTML, have at it, start typing. Most of you won't do that. You will do this instead, paste. And then you will click OK. And Muse will take a second to think about your code and then render your code and do whatever your code is supposed to do. And even give you the graphic representation of that object for you to do whatever you want to do with it. So there's the actual video. If I were to preview this, here, let's preview it in browser. And hit play. There's my time-lapse video I shot in San Francisco playing in my Muse site without me having to know anything about video in Muse, which it doesn't have. As long as I can grab the embed code. Let's take it up a notch. Let's go back to Muse. Let's go to products. Actually, not from there. Let's go to our products page. And we're going to sell something. We're going to sell me. There I am. All right. I'm thinking about launching a new product line. I'm going to have 2 products. First product is a personal visit by Terry White. Second product is going to be, let's duplicate that, 10-minute phone call by Terry White. I don't know how well I'm going to do with this business, but just in case, I can start selling. Now, I want people to be able to go to my site and buy those 2 objects or those 2 items. Muse has no built-in shopping carts, e-commerce, or any of that stuff in it. But there are dozens of e-commerce sites out there that let you set up your own storefronts, shopping carts, blah, 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 whatever, including PayPal. PayPal lets you, if you have a merchant account, lets you set up your own storefront, your own items. So I can log into my PayPal account, set up an item that I want to sell, give it a price, and it will give me a shopping cart and a button and a code to put wherever I want. So I've done that. Here's the code for Personal Visit by Terry White. Copy, go back to Muse, insert HTML, paste that code that I got from PayPal, wait a second, and there's my Add to Cart button. Let's go get the other one. A 10-minute phone call by Terry White. Copy, insert HTML, paste, click OK, give it a second to render, and there's my other item, which I'm going to put right there, and we're going to move this up, and we're going to make that smaller, make that smaller, and now we want to test it. File, preview in browser. Which one do you want to buy? Oh, let's do the best one.
Yeah.
I come to you. That does not include travel, by the way.
That's plus expenses, huh?
Yeah, plus expenses. Okay, so now I say I want to continue shopping. And the magic of this is it knows where you came from. So it takes you back to where you were. I also want the phone call. Add to cart. Check out with your credit card or check out with PayPal. Done.
How do you get to the cart without adding another item?
Add the view cart button that PayPal will let you add.
No option for first morning.
Sure. Lots and lots of zeros. So if you can grab the code from wherever you need to get the code from, you can put it on your site. I didn't say you had to write it, but you can use it. And by the way, here's another trick. We go to the MacGroup site. I hate those yellow buttons. Those are the most god-awful looking ugly buttons in the world. Hate them. But guess what? You don't have to use them. If we go to the join page of MacGroup, it's all PayPal enabled. But I'm using my own buttons. These are all PayPal buttons. All you have to do is edit the code, edit the HTML, and change to your graphic for your button. Make a button, put it somewhere to where you can get the link to it, and then use your own buttons. So I made a button called join, I made one called renew, put them on our server, and then put the URLs in for those buttons so that it's using my buttons instead of those god-awful yellow ones. That's the only code you're going to have to write if you want to change your button. All right, that was e-commerce. Let's go to the contact us. Now, this is going to be kind of a plus and minus. This is probably going to result to a 0 because it depends on where you're hosting. Since Muse is a subscription, whether you subscribe to just Muse or you subscribe to the whole Creative Cloud, you get hosting space with your account through Adobe. So you get host. If you just subscribe to Muse, you get hosting for one site. If you subscribe to Creative Cloud, you get hosting for up to 5 sites, 5 totally different websites. With that hosting is a back end of solutions called Business Catalyst. Now, Business Catalyst has lots of things in it, including e-commerce. Those just haven't been enabled through Muse yet. But one of the things that did get enabled through Muse in this last update was a contact form. So if you wanted people to actually be able to contact you through a form and you're hosting your site with Adobe, you can go to your widgets, go to forms, and there's a detailed contact form or a simple one. And just like the slideshow, they're both the same. Just the detailed one has more fields in it to start with, but you could add all those fields to the simple one. It's up to you. So if I say, give me, for example, and notice, by the way, it gives you the BC icon on the right-hand side, letting you know, hey, these will only work with Business Catalyst. So don't bother using these if you're hosting on your own server or somewhere else. Drag it in, and there's my contact form. And what did I say about the styling? Any of these can be styled and changed to whatever you want, colors, fonts, whatever. So this one just asks for your name, your email address, and a message. Or we can have the detailed one to start off with that asks for a lot more. And how do I adjust it? Go here. I can make certain fields mandatory, add fields, multi-line fields, do whatever I want. Now at this point, if my site is going to Business Catalyst, I'm done. That form will automatically be routed back to me if anyone fills it out because my email address is in the settings. I could change that email address to whoever I want to get that form data in the settings for that form. Simple as that. If you're not hosting with Business Catalyst, for example, the MacGroup site is not with Business Catalyst, don't use that form. Now wait a minute. Let's go here. Let's go to MacGroup. Let's go to Contact Us. We have a contact form. There it is. How's that work? Because we're hosted through Network Solutions, and they provide contact forms too. All I have to do is build it on a Network Solutions site and link to it. So, just like Business Catalyst provides a form, your hosting provider probably provides forms too. So you're not like, you just lose the ability of having that nice, easy drag and drop into Muse if you're not using Business Catalyst. But you can still have a contact form if your provider provides one. Okay. We're still doing great on time. Let me look at... it just feels like I'm forgetting something. Oh, mobile. Mobile's one, and what else? Password protection fell into that whole group of category of insert HTML. So it doesn't have any password protection built in, but if you have a JavaScript or something that will password protect a page, go grab that script, insert the HTML into that page, it will be password protected.
Where'd you get it from?
Search the web for password protect JavaScript. And find the code that you like and use it. Let me, before I get to mobile, let me talk about, since you brought up you like the thing on the home page of MacGroup, the widgets. I didn't get a chance to do this in my video recorded for Muse, so I can do this here since we have a little bit more time. Let's go to the About Us page. And let's move this down. Oh, actually, we're going to move it down a little bit further. We're going to insert, we're going to play around with two different widgets. You have panels and you have compositions. Let's do panels first. I love these because they allow you to put more information in a smaller amount of space. So an accordion versus a tab. Let's do accordion first. Drag that out onto the page. Basically, an accordion panel works like this. If we go to, here, let's say close all initially. And there we go. Let's preview this. So you get the 3 items with rollovers, of course, and when you click on an item, it expands to show you what's in that item. When you click on the next item, it collapses the first item to show you what's in the second item, and so forth and so on. So you can have more items, more information in a same small amount of space without having to have that be 3 paragraphs long on the page. So that's why I love accordions for situations like this. Where I use this on the MacGroup site is on the members page. Before we had this long list of our websites, and I converted it to an accordion when I redid the site. So now we have member websites, member blogs, and member podcasts. Now your accordion doesn't just have to be text-based. You can put whatever you want in here. So I can say, oh, design would help. I can say, we're going to change the name of this to Paris, New York, and this one's going to be, I don't know, Los Angeles. All right, now that I've got these three, I can get rid of the sample stuff that's in it. There is my content area, which I can pull this down. And I can now do a place. Let's just go grab one of the slideshow images. Fair enough. And let's put this in. And let's put some text with it. All right, and now we can collapse, actually go to New York, and do the same thing. So these can contain anything.
Can you put another widget in and make a slideshow in there?
It could cause a cascading effect on the internet that could bring the whole thing down.
Your Canadian customer. It's not a clothes.
Right, that's going to be interesting. I don't know, I've never tried this before, but we're going to give it a shot now. She's asking, do we dare? Do we try? Do we take a light box, which is even scarier, drag it in, having it expand the whole widget, making it much larger, and then can we scale this whole thing down to be smaller? Yes, we can. I believe the answer is yes. Could be wrong. It's going to get tricky here, especially if we don't put all the things in there the way we're supposed to. And if we expand this out and collapse this a little bit more, ooh, let's see something else over here. What could it be? Ah, it's that. There we go. Oh my God, this might work. Oh no, could it work? Could we have that widget now do an autoplay? Yes, autoplay enabled. Alright. Cross your fingers, here we go. We're going in. Okay, Paris, New York.
Go ahead.
I did a light box, and the light box is working. Yes, it does. Okay, accordions, that's what they do. So the only difference between an accordion and this next thing is just kind of the, here, let's close this. Let's go to this. Just the layout of it. So if I go to a tab panel, it's the same thing, just with tabs. So everything I just did, changing the names of the tabs, styling, color, font, background, all that, and putting the content in them, same thing. It's just tabs instead of accordion. So I use that on the join page of MacGroup. So if we go to join, these are tabs. instead of taking up all that space that it used to take up on the page. Got it? Okay, next. The widgets get fancier. Actually, if we go to compositions, they get much fancier. Compositions is fairly new. Actually, the category is new. We used to put tooltip down with the other panels. I'm going to show you tooltip. Actually, let's do featured news first, because featured news is the one you liked. So we drag over featured news. This is what you see on the MacGroup homepage. So if we go home, or maybe not. There we go. That's what this is. So this is featured news. I can hover over it and go to a particular item. If I don't hover over it, it will just automatically rotate through them for me. So that's what the featured news does. So you set it up by same thing, changing these to be named whatever you want, going to each one, putting whatever content in it you want, and then controlling its behavior with the flyout menu. So event on rollover, I have mine set to autoplay on the MacGroup page. So it just automatically cycles through each one. That's all it is. Okay, next. And this one's kind of cool. I haven't used it yet on a live site. I haven't found a use for it yet on a live site, but I think it's pretty neat. It's called a tooltip. And you've seen these before. What a tooltip is here, let me get rid of it first. Let me place a photo first. We'll use the tooltip over the photo. Let's do a place, see if I have a good photo to use. Oh, I know, the one with the bracelets. That one. Perfect photo. Let's place that on a page. It's a little big. It's a little big. Scale it down. All right. Let's say I want the user to roll over those bracelets and something pops up. That's what tooltips are. So I go to tooltip, drag one out onto the page, and then just design it. So these, here, hard to see. These circles are your triggers, and you basically put your triggers wherever you want them to be, and whatever size you want them to be. Put those over there. Unfortunately, there's no rotating them. So we'll put this one over here. Once you have them in place, what do you think you would do with the color? Take the fill out, right? And we can put this, oops, put this one on here. Once you've got them in place where you want them to be, you take the fill out so that people don't actually see the trigger. But now, we'll just go to fill. Oops. Do it this way. Okay, so now if we preview this, oh, I did it on the rollover. But anyway, I'd have to do it on the normal up state. But as they roll over each one of these bracelets, it would pop up with whatever you want it to pop up with. Text, image, slideshow, animation, whatever. And they would learn more about the item they're hovering over.
I feel like a group picture, you can just have each individual on
Just have the names up if you want it. So go back to design. And on the normal state, I change the fill to none. There we go. And on this one, on the normal state, I change the fill to none. And let's try that again. There we go. Now you don't want your trigger to be visible, but you need something there that's visible, because no one's going to know to roll over those bracelets. So think about that for a minute. So while you may not want a big, giant, opaque, rounded rectangle, you do need something there to indicate people, hey, roll over these bracelets, or even maybe text above it. If you want to learn more about our bracelets, roll over the bracelets to see the description. You got to let people know to do it. Otherwise, they'll just think it's a picture. They'll never know to do this. And of course, we left the one for the finger. And your triggers don't have to be, let me think about this for a minute. You could even you could take this picture into Photoshop and add lines to it and have your triggers off to the side. And your triggers then could be visible. So when someone rolls over that visible trigger that points to the actual object, then they see the description. So there are lots of ways to design that to what you want. But I think tooltips are cool. I just haven't used them yet.
Terry?
Yes?
Back in the example of the accordion, when you roll from the first image to the second, does the first one have to collapse?
Yes. You don't have to collapse it, but yes, it will collapse whether you do it or not. So if I go to Paris and I go to New York, it's going to collapse Paris.
Because I've seen other applications where, let's say there's a recipe, and underneath that, then there's a comment, and then a suggestion.
Okay.
So you read the recipe, and then you read the chef's comment about how it's prepared, and then a suggestion about other things you serve with it. But the recipe doesn't disappear when you roll. You just open the comments or open the suggestions as additional information below the
Let's see if I turn this off. I don't believe it will stay open, but let me try. Nope. Yeah, this particular accordion doesn't do that. All right, now let's before we talk about publishing, let's talk about one more thing, one big thing. In this latest update, 2 additional layouts have been added. Muse Beta and Muse 1.0 was all about the desktop version. This is all you could do, everything we've done up to this point. Now you have at the top here the ability to add a tablet and a phone version. What this means is that you're saying, my site is done, or mostly done for the most part. Now I want to add additional layouts for people that are on tablets and smartphones. And this is one of those where this particular feature is a love-hate for me. I love the end result. I hate the workflow. The end result is I have a great looking site now that works on desktops, tablets, and smartphones. The workflow is when I say add, let's say phone, it gives me the ability to say copy from the desktop version. Oh, great, that's exactly what I want. But notice what it's copying. It's only copying the site plan and the page attributes. So when you click OK, there you go. Start over. The background fill. Now, that's the hate part. You mean I gotta? Yeah. But if you think about it, if it had copied everything that was on the home page, what was it supposed to do? Scale it all down? Jumble it all up? How would it know where you wanted stuff? So, in theory, you're starting with a blank layout, and now you're optimizing that layout for that size. You can still come here and say, I want to copy this and go to the phone version, which let me get that version back up here. You can go work back and forth and paste, copy and paste all you want. You don't have to literally start from scratch, but you're now optimizing this layout with only the things on it that make sense for this layout. That also means that perhaps I don't need, and I'm making this up, but perhaps I don't need the videos page to be separate. I don't need the events page on the mobile site. No one needs to, and I'm making that up because I do want people to go to the events page. But let's say there's a page that doesn't make sense for people to go to on their phone. No one's ever going to want to go to that page on their phone. You can delete that page from the phone layout. You don't have to have a mirror image of your site. It could be whatever pages you want the smartphone people to see. And also the tablet people. Now the other thing is, what about the menu? Well, you can copy and paste or go to the widget library and drag out a menu. But here's one thing I learned very quickly when I did the MacGroup site, is a horizontal desktop menu doesn't work very well on a mobile site. You have too many pages, it's going to be too wide. And now you're going to, scale it down to where no one can read it? So it doesn't make sense. So I have to give credit to one of my colleagues for coming up with this one for me. So let's go to the master page. He combined two things, like you told me to do with the accordion and the slideshow. He did it with this. I'm going to bring down the header for a moment, and I'm going to go to the panels and put an accordion in. But I only need this accordion to have one panel. So I'm going to get rid of this and get rid of this. So I only have the one. And I'm going to call this menu. And I'm going to get rid of this content in it. And what I'm going to put in this one panel accordion is a vertical menu. And I'm going to expand it out. And collapse this up. And move the header to just below it. And say that it's all closed initially and can close all. So that now when users go to my mobile site, and we preview this page, a menu drops down, a menu goes away. I don't need to do that on the desktop version, but that makes all kind of sense on the smartphone version.
Does that allow people to tip their phone sideways also?
It's not going to matter. Yeah, because it's just going to expand the site out sideways.
No, I mean, but the program that you designed here this way also allows the phone to be.
Yes. Do you have a smartphone with you? Go to MacGroup.org on your smartphone and try it. Because that is done with Muse. So, and it also even gives you the preview for various phone types. So I want to see what it looks like on an iPhone 5. It gets longer. Shocking. I want to see what it looks like on a Samsung Galaxy. It gets wider, bigger, nice. Or a Nokia, same thing. So now you go through copying and pasting, putting specific elements that are optimized for the mobile version. So for those of you who don't have your mobile version devices with you, and here, let's do this. So there it is on my iPhone. There it is on my iPad mini. So, yeah, and you've seen it on the desktop already. The MacGroup site, built in Muse with 2 additional layouts, optimized for each browser experience. So on the mobile version, guess what? It doesn't have the fancy rotating announcement thing because people on limited bandwidth, small screens want, or less is more. They just need to see what they need to see. So if it were me coming to MacGroup, and by the way, yes, that was it rotating. If it were me coming to MacGroup, I want to know when the next meeting is. Bam, it's right there. Great. What's the topic going to be? Bam, it's right there. I don't have to go any further. But if I do want to go further, there's that nice menu. What do I want to go to next? Well, let me go to directions. And let me get driving directions. I can tap right there. So I optimize this experience for what I would want to do on my phone if it were for MacGroup.
The layouts that you created, do you have these layouts uploaded to a site? First question. All three layouts are uploaded?
It's all automatic, so yes.
When you say it's all automatic?
When you add a layout, it automatically gets uploaded with the rest of the site.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Yes.
What tells it what device to go to?
It sniffs out what kind of device it is and loads that layout. So here's the joining, and the joining on the mobile phone is an accordion and not a tabbed panel, because that makes more sense tall versus wide.
But you set that up, all the cut and paste and whatever you did for that, and then you did it again for that.
Right. So on the tablet version, well, it's a tablet, got more real estate. So we can go to the About Us. This was really just pretty much using the exact same content, just making it a little narrower for a tablet versus a desktop.
Here, if you turn the tablet or the iPhone to landscape, what happens?
It turns. Although in that case, it went to the blog, because I think that's what I tapped on. There we go. So, and it keeps the width of the device.
If you want to edit this, or manage it from a different computer, can you do that?
If you want to edit a picture on a different computer, what do you have to do?
You have to have that. So if you have all the files.
What's this reflective that you're running?
The same thing you ask me every month. It's an application. I did a review on it. Runs on the Mac. It lets you AirPlay from your devices. It was called Reflection. Now it's called Reflector.
Does it automatically build in the resource into the website to automatically detect your device?
Yes.
So in other words, if you're manually doing a website, you manually got to put in the code to do.
If you're manually doing the website, you manually do everything, yes. So this is doing all this for you.
This is, I don't have to know how it does it, it just does it.
Exactly. That's the beauty of Muse.
Can you expand on the hosting end of things?
I'm about to. Okay. So any other questions on the mobile stuff before we go on to the publishing and hosting? All right. Let me point out something. And let's see if it shows it there. If you look at the URL here, notice it not only sniffed out the phone version of the site, but it went to a folder called phone that it built. It did all that. That's how it knew which one to load. Okay, let's go back to Muse. So, and tablet would be the same thing. I'd add the tablet version. I'd say copy from the desktop. In this case, I could copy the browser fill if I want it, but it really doesn't make sense for mobile sites. And there are all my blank pages to get started with. So if we go look at a finished site, let's go File, Open Recent. This is the actual MacGroup-Muse site that Jamie, that I copied over to this drive this morning. All right, so here's the desktop version. Here's the tablet version. Here's the phone version. This is the love part of this now, because it's done. The hate part was seeing all those blank pages pop up and having to do it 2 more times. But now that it's done, I love it.
Well, it makes you really think about what you're doing.
Exactly, and that's why I said it's a love-hate, it's a good versus evil kind of thing, because the lazy approach would have been just copy everything over.
It wouldn't have been functional.
It wouldn't have been optimized for the experience. So you would end up tweaking and moving a whole bunch of stuff around anyway. The other thing is, you just made me forget it. I forgot my train of thought. Phone, mobile. Yeah, I can't think of what I was going to say. All right, so let's talk about the hosting. So there are 3 ways to get out of this. If you use your Adobe Business Catalyst hosting that comes with your Muse subscription or Creative Cloud subscription, all you simply do is go to File and hit Publish. It will ask you to sign in with your Adobe ID. You give your site a name. It uploads everything, and it gives you a URL for your site. That's the painless, easy, simple option. If you say, that's fine, but I already have, like we already had, hosting with Network Solutions, I want to put this on my existing hosting that I'm already paying for, that already has a domain, that already has everything set up, then you go to Upload to FTP Host. And that will let you put in your FTP parameters to upload this site directly to your host. Oh, I remember what the thing was I was going to say. So let me get out of this first. So, and notice it will now only upload the modified file. So it's going to upload everything once, but then only upload whatever you change from that point on. That's the second option. Third option says, I don't want to publish, I don't want to host with Business Catalyst. I don't have my own servers set up yet with an ISP. I just want to get the site out into a folder to do something with it. Heaven knows what that would be, maybe tweak it in Dreamweaver. Then that would be File, Export as HTML. That will export the whole thing, everything you've done, to one folder, wherever you tell it to, as your whole site. CSS, HTML, JavaScript, images, everything. All your layouts, everything ready to go. So you could...
Do you mean copy the code from it at that point?
It's a folder of HTML. You do whatever you want to do with it. But what you're not going to do with it is bring it back into Muse. So that folder, once Muse exports that folder HTML, it says, la, 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 I don't know where that is anymore. I forgot all about it. It's gone. It's completely forgotten about it. It doesn't know that folder exists anymore.
But if you send it to Network Solutions, you can go back and forth.
Sure, yeah. If you're maintaining all your edits in Muse, you're fine. But what she said is, could I then go do something with that HTML? Yes, but Muse won't know anything about that, those changes you're making.
But it'll still have your original?
Pardon? You'll still have your original without those changes, yes.
So there is no import, number one.
There is no import for HTML, no.
Number 2 is, the question I have is, being that we created all of the JPEGs, TIFFs, all that brouhaha, and was optimized, do those original images need to be re-optimized for the tablet and for the phone?
It will do what it needs to do upon publishing and exporting. So for example, if I take, if we go back to this site, and I go back to the desktop version, and I take this giant graphic that I put on the Contact Us page, and I copy it, and then I go to the Contact Us phone version of that page and paste it, it's going to be huge. So therefore, I need to scale it down.
But scaling it down, doesn't that just increase its DPI?
Not when it comes to the export. The export says it's this size, export is 72 DPI or whatever at that size. So it would be the same thing as you going to file, save for web, make it 300 pixels wide, or 320 in this case. That's what it's doing. So I can keep sizing that original all day long, making it bigger, making it smaller, but upon publish or export is when it makes the optimized web version.
You know, I've never used slideshows myself, so this is maybe a stupid question, but you know how
No such thing.
people can go in there and right-click on a JPEG on the web and copy it down to a hard drive?
Yep.
Is there any sort of protection feature for your slideshow?
Not built into Muse. His question was, is there a way to disable right-click or disable dragging images off your slideshows in Muse? And there is no protection for that built into Muse.
There isn't any on the web anyway.
Yeah, right. I was going to get to that. But yeah, all you're doing when you say disable something is you're making it harder, but not impossible. Someone wants that image, they're going to get it. So if you don't want an image to be copied on the web, don't put it on the web. All right, now the thing I forgot that I remembered. So remember when I said this is the love part because the desktop, tablet, and phone are done? Okay. It's time to update the site for the next meeting. Okay, go to the desktop homepage. Great. Edit original. Fantastic. Text tool. Oops. Feb. Temp, I believe. Save. Oh, crap, because it's in a weird spot. Normally that would work. I just have a permission issue with this particular file. Okay, so we can't do that particular thing in this copy of the site. Okay, so I would go do that, and then I would come here and make the changes. February 10th, 2013. I don't know, I'd have to look at what the topic's going to be. I think is it social media or digital photography? Social media? Okay, social media. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, great. Now what do I have to do? Tablet. Double click. Make the same changes. Phone. Double click. Make the same changes. Now, the graphics will be picked, like that calendar will be picked up because it's the same calendar file on all three that's referencing. But text changes, I got to make on all three. So I would make it once, copy it, go to the other two and just paste. So I don't have to type it 3 times.
Trying to get the idea that this program might be the greatest thing since sliced bread for developing a new site. But if you have a complex site that you've been working on over the years, and it's all looking good, if you go to Muse, you're going to be starting off with the blank page and working from.
Yep. But most sites that are starting over in something else tend to do that anyway. Okay. Just like
If you say the old site, it looks like the 1980s, you gotta make it look like.
But even if it looked modern, if I want a fresh start, I'm typically going to start over anyway. Even if the site's working fine and looking fine. There was nothing wrong with the MacGroup site; it was working fine. I wanted a fresh start with a fresh tool.
Exactly.
And also, what it really made me do, which someone said in the back, it made me really look at the site and say, do we really need this page anymore? Do we really need these images anymore? Do we really need these links anymore? I streamlined it at the same time of redoing it.
Oh, yeah.
One more thing. Something I was meant to show earlier and forgot. What if you want, now we know how to do hyperlinks. And then we can link to anything. But what if you want to add a page, or not a page, but add a site to the not a site. Yeah, I guess a site. You want to add something to the navigation that you didn't make in Muse. Perfect example. Home, Muse. About us, Muse. Contact us, Muse. Meetings, Muse. Blog. I didn't make that in Muse. That's a WordPress blog. So how do I make that button go to this blog that has nothing to do with Muse?
Make it a link. The
Insert HTML, insert link.
Nope, neither. Because remember the menu is dynamic. This menu bar is representing whatever pages you have in use. There's no add a special page, link, whatever thing that doesn't exist. Nope, didn't split into two menus. Because two menus would be two identical menus. They're dynamic. You're getting there. You're on the right track. Donna's got it. Okay, say it again, Donna. She's on the right track.
A page that is virtually invisible to the viewer, which will then redirect you to where you.
Close, but she's the closest one so far. Not really, but you're on the right track. You were closer on the right track the first time you said it. So here's what I had to do. Go back to the site. She was the closest, so here we go. I want to add the blog, but I didn't build the blog in Muse, but I have to fake it. So I have to say, new page, blog. Now, obviously, that's now in the navigation. There it is, blog. But when people click on this right now, where are they going to go? To that blank page. That's what I don't want. Right-click on this page, menu options, include the page, but without a link. So Muse says, okay, I got a page here, but I'm not going to link to it. I'm going to keep it in the menu. Now, go to the menu, click on that particular item, and now you can add a link to it to wherever you want to go. Yep.
One other question, Terry.
So now that will go to the blog. And the blank page can stay blank. Who cares? It's just there as a placeholder.
See that? Can you see that work?
Sure. Let's go to this page. Preview in preview in browser. It's all there. It all works. Click on the blog, and it goes to the blog.
Or to another site that you might.
Wherever you want it to go.
If you want to organize it so you have a photo gallery page that's really has a bunch of gallery links to it, you just add other pages under that are
It's one way to do it. The other thing you can do, which we haven't spent a lot of time talking about what you can actually do on individual pages, but here, let's actually go back here. Let's say we want to add his galleries page. I can either have pages that spawn off this for fashion, travel, landscapes, whatever, and links to each one of those pages, which would be maybe their full page slideshows or whatever. Or I could build them here on one page. So let's say, for example, we'll do the thumbnails version. So that could be maybe one slideshow. And let's see here. Duplicate that. Ooh, I can duplicate it. Cool. That can be another slideshow. And that could be another slideshow. Now, of course, the problem with this is that, ooh, where did I put the other one? I guess I forgot to do it. All right, so I got 3 slideshows, so this page is getting kind of long. So there's a trick to this. You can do this kind of cool thing here. You can go in and you can do an accordion, but you probably would be a sweet idea. You can do an accordion, but you can also do this. Let's say we make a little menu thing and we say that this is going to be our landscapes is the first one, travel is the second one, and I don't know, fashion's the third one. So pretend those are 3 separate slideshows. And then we go to each one down here. And make a little text frame. Text frame. Make a little text frame here. we add an anchor to it. Or do I have to do it from here? Can I do it from there? Oh, there we go. We drag an anchor into it. Oh, we just, okay. I forgot how this works. We can just place it. And we can call this, what was the second one called? Travel? Sweet. So we made that easier than it used to be. Okay, great. And we'll make this one fashion. All right, so now we put these anchors in place that actually go to the spots where they are. And we'll make this one landscapes. And of course, those anchors are invisible on the site when you view it. But now I can say landscapes goes to the landscapes anchor. Travel goes to the travel anchor. And fashion goes to the fashion anchor. And, wait, and we can now pin this so that when we preview this in browser and we scroll, the menu stays there. So we can jump around to landscapes, travel, fashion, pinning the menu or pinning that frame. So that frame is always there. Or do it whatever way you want. But pinning is pretty cool. I don't get a chance to show it very often, so thank you. And it's weird because sometimes I'm like, how come it didn't go all the way up? All it's designed to do is take you to the top of the anchor. So when I go here, that's the top of travel's anchor. When I go to fashion, that's the top of the fashion anchor. That's all it's designed to do, not take it to the top of the page. So like, it always frustrates me here that it doesn't take me to the top of the page. So what I'd probably want to do is move that anchor up some, maybe. Maybe move it up here.
If you have your own domain name, just go redirect to the site that Adobe's.
I believe Adobe will let you add your domain name to your Business Catalyst site, just with a direct. So you'd have to put in change the records to point to that hosting. Okay. Any other questions? I think we're out of time. We're out of time. It's 5:03.
How much is it?
How much is it? It is a subscription. So Muse is, and by the way, if you want some inspiration, go to muse.adobe.com. There's a site of the day. If you go to that, you'll see the site of the day, but you'll also see tons of other sites that were built with Muse. The how much is it question. And I think it's $14.99 a month, or there it is. So 1 year plan, $14.99 a month.
That's for the software, right?
And the one site hosting, yes. No, I take that back. That is for the software, not. I always get that confused. Don't quote me on this. Let's look. Yeah, I'm right. The hosting is separate. I'm sorry. I kept saying it was included. It is not. So the hosting is $6 a month for one site. But if you have a Creative Cloud membership, it is included. That's where I get confused. And we're going to give away a couple of subscriptions to Creative Cloud, not just Muse.
Okay, take junk, and we got a lot of magazines.
Got a lot of magazines left for people that want to take more than one copy. And if you brought junk with you, take your junk home with you. So what did you learn about Muse today? All right.
We were
Lou, give me a number between 1 and 12.
7.
Mickey Gilhole, come on up. Thank you for renewing your membership.
You're welcome.
$10 of iTunes on us. Yep, better.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.